So I think there are a number of architects who are building things that are the image of difficulty, which means the image of something avant-garde. And I just had a discussion with Patrick the other day, and he's still claiming he's the avant-garde. So I'm not so sure this is true. And I think avant-garde has something to do with rarity. That what you're arguing for has to do with a kind of, what I'm arguing for has to do with an essential discomfort with the conditions in the world as you find them. And there's some people, I know Tom has argued this, and now Wolf argues it a little bit too, that the issue of implementation takes precedent over a kind of resistance or discomfort, as if discomfort is something that you get over. But maybe this is my problem. I never got over it. So I think the work here still has a kind of association with some kind of avant-garde thinking around the world. But my sense is, it's, as time passes, it's absorbed into the culture, and therefore it's less an adversary for the culture than it was initially. But whether it's still considered unorthodox or not, I'm not so sure, because unorthodox, again, has to be in juxtaposition to orthodox. What's orthodox now? If everybody is bending and folding and twisting and prefabricating everything, then doing those kinds of things, and I'm not saying they couldn't be done differently in one case or by a special hand in one case, or that talent is not relevant in it, but I'm not so sure unorthodox. I think that the orthodox-unorthodox debate in that context, we won it, actually. Everybody signed up. You know, I think in retrospect, we probably published the work incorrectly. And the context in which this is done, with associations between buildings over time, is also part of the story. And it's conceivable there's a how to make a city story, or how to evolve a city, or change a city. It doesn't change the whole city, but there's a big enough piece, and there's some more pieces coming that are pretty large. I mean, there was a theater with a kind of very big theater, which the neighborhood went completely crazy. It was same old stuff. And I think I would have liked to have seen that project done for sure. I think, and we'll see if we do the high-rise down by Jefferson and La Cienega. We also got into a discussion recently with, and it teaches you actually a lot about how projects are done in cities and in this city. So we made a proposal where the trains stop all over Los Angeles. They build, related to the stops, housing, retail, office, so high density follow. These are the obvious reasons for that, whether this is particularly intelligent or not, but this is the policy, which if nothing else changes the density, and instead of, you know, moving to LA to LaGuardia, you know, it starts to go up as opposed to out. And we, so the Expo line coming in, which was the occasion for the little train, stops at La Cienega and Jefferson. It also stops at Jefferson and Crenshaw, Jefferson and La Brea. And it goes through a relatively poor area. There's not even a parking structure at La Brea, zero parking structure at La Cienega. And Jefferson, which you could argue, if you look at a map, is potentially a huge new cross-access view, La Cienega to the Strip, to the airport, and Jefferson to USC and downtown to the beach. And they made a very stupid and ordinary concrete parking structure, you know. So the owner over here asked us to do a study, which is a more complicated proposal because it's close to some of this. They thought this is a mess. Why don't we try? And we went through a whole discussion with Goldberg, who was running the city planning department, and everybody supported it. And Tony supported it, and Jan supported it. The local councilman, it was a little more complicated. And in the end, as Goldberg said, I couldn't figure out why in Los Angeles the train engineers designed the city. Because the train engineers, whatever the arguments, they're in detail, they're not so relevant. But this was a project which had a lot of support and a lot of political support. It was a great project. And in the end, all they're doing is, two sites is no parking at all, and one site, which is a very promising cross-access site, you know, the Silk Road in two directions, and they didn't do it. So this is another interesting question about this city as opposed to cities in other parts of the world, or indeed other parts of the world, which is so fragmented that it may have occasioned or enabled unusual architecture. Santa Monica, Culver City, Burbank, Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, all of that kind of stuff. Fragments and sometimes adversaries, which might occasion unusual pieces, but it's very hard to organize all those disparate pieces to make anything of any substantial scale, which is coherent and has to be worked on over a period of time with some consistency, like the train line. And you could see this in this project. So in the end, we couldn't do it after a lot of debates and drawings